If you stay with me for a few minutes, I will explain to you why most people abandon their goals on January 1st. Normally, you start the year super motivated, and as days and weeks go by, you see the motivation fades away. I will explain to you how, why it happens, and I will also explain to you how to change this narrative so you stay motivated and you stay stronger and stronger and stronger. I'm Dr. Guillaume Dulude. I've traveled in 150 countries all around the world as a researcher to understand human behavior. I have a PhD in psychology, and I've coached more than 100,000 people on relationship skills, communication skills, leadership skills, and how to reach goals. And this is what I've learned. People don't fail at reaching goals because they're lazy. It's because of the strategy that they are using. They're not using the right component. In this video, I will tell you all the components that you need. First of all, a few things that everybody is supposed to know that has been spread out in the world of psychology, which makes sense, is that if you have a goal, it must be realistic, small enough so you believe that you can actually achieve it, and it must be measurable, which means that the closer you get to your goal, you must quantify how close you get to your goal. If your goal is not precise enough, if it's not realistic enough, and you cannot measure your improvement, this is a recipe to fail. It's not going to happen. So this is one thing we must keep in mind. It must be precise as possible. It must be measurable, and it must be realistic. You're going to say, okay, that's not that hard. It's very hard. Even though I'm talking about these things to my clients, most of my clients, even though they know these factors, these variables, they cannot build a good goal. Why? Here's the problem. The problem is that what you're aiming for is often a goal that looks good. And when it looks good, it means that you imagine being associated with this goal and you feel that you climb up the social hierarchy. So it means that if you succeed in doing a certain thing, it will reassure you in terms of your social value. So that's one big problem. People choose goals that they don't really want to achieve. They want the social reward related to a goal. For example, someone that is not in shape and wants to feel good and says, I'm going to run a marathon. A marathon is really hard. A person that has never trained, overweight, does not even know how to eat properly, to sleep properly, to drink properly, to deal with pain and constant discipline and working out every day, and this person chooses a marathon, there's almost 0% chances that this person achieve this goal. Why? Because the selection of the goal is related to a social reward. This is called introjected motivation. So it's a motivation that is related to a social reward. When you choose a goal that is related to a social reward, for example, positive social attention, positive social status, it will increase a part of motivation, but it will triple the anxiety. Every goal that is related to social status comes with a little bit of dopamine, motivation, but with a lot of social pressure, lots of anxiety. And it's most of the time it's too much and people will just stop. So if a person chooses a very hard goal related to social status, 90% of chances that this person will stop, will fail. So it's a bad goal. It's a goal that looks good, and it looks good for others, and it looks good for you, but it's a bad goal. It's too hard. It's not rooted in the right personal reasons. Second mistake that people do, people feel guilty, miserable, losers, and time goes by. And you know that you cannot get it back. So sometimes your brain is trying to pressure you into compensating this feeling of misery by distracting you with a very glorious goal that will make you forget and forgive yourself for being miserable all these years. So people accumulate misery and they accumulate guilt. So guilt adds up, and it increases the general anxiety, the general feeling of helplessness. And now they say, okay, I must do something. I must do something, and they will not say that. But their brain will say, if I do this, I will reset my miserable life. So you're trying to buy peace of the things that you think you should have done in the past, and you want to reset the time. So what you do is you choose a very glorious and very difficult goal that for your brain, it's saying like, if I do that, I can forgive myself for all the things I have not done before and that I should have done before. Of course, all that is a belief. There's no such thing of things you should have done and not done. Guilt is absolutely unnecessary, and it's something that we need to treat. It's something that we need to handle carefully. Guilt is very dangerous. But some people carry guilt along the years, and in a way to just hit the guilt and kill the guilt once and for all, they choose a very glorious and very ambitious goal. And they say, I can forgive myself if I achieve this thing. I can forgive myself if I achieve this. Here's the problem. To achieve a very hard goal, you need to understand how to do that in general. So it means that, and this is my recommendation, if you want to achieve something very difficult, it's like a sport. Achieving things is a sport. It has nothing to do with the goal itself. So you must try first to become good at the sport of achieving small things. So people will say, yeah, but I don't want that. It's not motivating. I want a glorious goal that makes me feel good and will get me out of my misery. You cannot. It's dangerous to do that. It's not going to work. What you need to understand is to play a new sport, and the sport is achieving things. First, you need to accept that. And you need to practice achieving small things, less ambitious things, small goals, precise, doable, and that you can observe the progression. If you start getting better at achieving things in general, you're getting better at being in movement, being perseverant, being more disciplined, having a real reward that is now part of you. And along the way, you set the bar a little bit higher and you try to achieve another small thing, a little bit more difficult, and a little bit more difficult, and a little bit more difficult. And you become good at achieving things in general. But you need to practice this sport. It cannot be, okay, January 1st, I switch my life 180 degrees. It's not good. You're not going to do it. And it's not because I don't wish you to do it. I wish. But the reality is it's not going to happen because you have not practiced the sport of achieving things. To achieve things involves all kinds of mechanisms, attentional mechanisms, inhibition mechanisms. You need to master negative emotions. You need to master priorities. You need to master distraction. You need to be able to inhibit yourself from short-term rewards to long-term rewards. You need to organize your agenda. You need to go through your goals every day. All these little things that are hidden when it's time to achieve something. If you don't know how to do these things on a daily basis, it is impossible that you go from zero training to losing 80 pounds and running a marathon. It is not good. You're going to hurt yourself. Because not only it's too hard, the task is too hard, but you will fail. And if you fail, you encode the souvenir and the image of yourself that you can't achieve anything. So it's not true. It is not true that you cannot achieve this eventually. It's not true at all. It's that you didn't go through the right process for you to strengthen the psychological mechanisms necessary to move forward and achieve things in general. So here's my recommendation. So instead of finding only one big goal that will solve all your life and all your misery and guilt on January 1st, find 5 little goals that you're, 75% chances that you think, I'm able to do that. If you do this, if you achieve one of them, it creates the momentum to attain and reach the second goal and the third and the fourth. You're not only reaching your goals, you're training your brain on how to achieve hard things. This is what you need to do for the next year. And if you start to understand the sport of setting a goal, the right goal, just difficult enough, just realistic enough, that is not for the glory, that is not for social attention. It's something that you do for you. You reach this goal for you. It happens not in the spotlight, it happens in the shadow. If you can do that, if you can achieve small things in the shadows, and you train yourself to do that, Eventually, you will be able to reach harder goals, big goals, and some of the goals will be in the spotlight, but your brain will not be confused. The brain will know that he's going to play the same game as he has played before for smaller goals. And this is how people achieve big things. So you can do that. It's possible. It's just a matter of training and strategy. So I want you to have a nice next year. I want you to feel powerful next year. I don't want you to fail. And failing is always there. It's normal to fail, but you need to understand the risks when you're setting up a goal. There's special ingredients in goals. And I want you to be more aware of what kind of goals you're choosing to make sure that you're going to be stronger and stronger and stronger, which you are sometime. So I want you to select the right goals and the right processes to make yourself stronger and stronger and stronger. And while you're doing that, you're discovering yourself and you discover how strong you are. That's the only way. So this is what I wish for you in the next year. It's absolutely doable. If you want other advices, other tips, either in psychology, psychological mechanisms, relationship skills, just write me a comment and subscribe. All right. Good luck, guys.